From diagnostics to patient information to care management, we're doing our part to help people everywhere feel better.
Spin, spin, spin the globe. It's your turn to spin the globe.
Why do I eat Healthy Choice sesame chicken? Beef tips portobello?
Chicken parmesan.
Why?
Why? Why? Because it tastes great.
Because it tastes great.
Why? Why?
Because my body
My body needs balanced nutrition. Why do I eat healthy?
eat Healthy Choice?
Why? Why?
That's why.
That's why.
That's why.
A simple phone call will help you preserve your family story forever. When my grandson found that old shoebox, I realized we had so much family history that had been lost and forgotten. I wanted him to know where he came from and to be proud of who he is. That's why I called 1-800-489-9913 and ordered Family Tree Maker. You should too. Family Tree Maker is the #1 selling software of its kind. Family Tree Maker is easy to use. Within minutes, you'll be locating ancestors, building your family tree, and sharing your legacy with those you love. Family Tree Maker allows you to create a variety of family trees, family books, maps, and timelines. And you can showcase all you discovered in a selection of heirloom quality printouts that you'll cherish and be proud to display. Call 1-800-489-9913. Order Family Tree Maker today and preserve your heritage.
We now return to Family Tree, here on the History Channel. Genealogy is a journey of discovery. And the first step is the most basic building block of every family tree, the name. Today, we have first names, middle names, surnames, nicknames, each one a clue, leading genealogists back in history. But for most of history, people only had one name. Early men spent their whole lives within the confines of small groups or tribes. They didn't need surnames to tell each other apart, as long as every person's name was unique. That single name often came from characteristics in the surrounding world.
Primarily after natural phenomenon. Tremendous number of the names would come from plants, animals, the dances with wolves phenomenon.
In civilizations ruled by their belief in the supernatural, names were talismans. A deliberately repulsive name could help protect a child.
Monkey breath, pig dung, stinky, smelly. Almost any term that one could think of that would be something unattractive.
And a name changed in just the right way could condemn a person. In 1150 BC in ancient Egypt, palace conspirators found guilty of poisoning the pharaoh Ramses III were punished by the distortion of their names into curses. Conspirator Ramessu, whose name meant the god Ra is his creator, became Ramesdedsu, meaning Ra is his hater. According to Egyptian belief, this three-letter change blocked his path to the next world. While commoners around the world were developing their one-name systems, the upper classes began to embrace surnames. Ancient China started using surnames over 4,000 years ago, when the great mythic emperor Fu Xi is believed to have invented them, along with the institution of marriage. Back then, these surnames were a badge of honor, handed out only to the most worthy sons in a family. Many of the original Chinese surnames are still in use, like Chu, Li, and Chang. With over 100 million Changs living today, It's the world's most common surname. This complexity in naming hadn't spread yet to all societies. In the British Isles around 900 BC, warrior clans swept across the land, clans that would become Scotch, Irish, and Welsh people. Still in the formative naming phase, they took 2 or 3 descriptors, combined them, and produced a new name with a new meaning. Attach elf to laid, and you get a small, beautiful infant named Elflate. Another example is the name Cameron.
The Scots Gaelic word for a twist is cam, C-A-M, Cameron. Comes from the Gaelic camshrun, which means twisted nose. And so, obviously there's been someone far back in the family tree that's had a strangely bent nose, and everybody with the name Cameron comes from him.
These early compound systems resulted in some names that, with a little revision, have endured for eons.
So you have names like William, meaning Wilhelm, will protection, will helmet. You have names like Richard, meaning rich and hard, rich and bold, rich and brave.
But as civilization evolved, these clans grew into larger communities. Soon there were too many Williams and Richards, and people started to find other ways to identify themselves.
And they tended to take either the name of an occupation or their place of residence or their father's name.
Naming after one's father occurred all over the world. You might encounter MacLean, son of Lane in Gaelic, or Ben Nun, meaning son of none in Hebrew. And of course in English, John's son. Another common means of distinguishing John from John in medieval times, physical descriptions or nicknames. Meet John the Bold, John Little, John with the big nose.
People didn't choose their own names. Names were thrust upon them. And sometimes we don't like the name that we are given. I mean, who would choose to be called smelly or silly or daft?
Nicknames were not just for commoners. Aristocrats and rulers adopted them too, like Edward Longshanks and William the Conqueror. In fact, William the Conqueror isn't just a poster boy for royal nicknames. He actually helped historians trace the evolution of surnames.
After William invaded England, he wanted an accounting of what was on the land, who the people were, what their holdings were.
So he sent his tax collectors to account for the residents.
If you're a tax collector and you're responsible for recording who's paid his taxes and catching up with people who haven't paid their taxes, you want a fairly precise way of identifying who had paid and who hadn't.
The taxmen wrote everything down. By 1087, William's commissioners had compiled an unprecedented survey of England's landowners, detailing their land, livestock, and serfs. Known as the Doomsday Book, a medieval nod to tax day as the Day of Reckoning, this revolutionary work was England's earliest comprehensive tax record. The tidy columns of Doomsday offered those who study names written proof of the use of descriptors in names.
Then you've got a class of surnames, big class of surnames, where people are identified by what they did for a living. The most common of those, of course, is Smith, because every village had its Smith.
One Doomsday entry, written in Latin, translates like this. Theodore the goldsmith from Kennington has 4 acres, land enough for 2.5 plows, valued at £3. A wealth of information in a few short lines. It identifies a man called Theodore by his location and his occupation. And so emerged the potters, tanners, weavers, and tailors. Across the language divide, tailor would be Portnoy in Russia, Schneider in Germany, Kravitz in Poland, and Sherman in Yiddish. And the suffix ster was used to denote a working female. Thus Baxter for a female baker, and Thaxter for a woman who made straw roofs. By writing names down, the stage was set for passing them down. And as Europe emerged from the Middle Ages, surnames became fixed, passed on, and carried overseas to newly conquered lands. Each successive group to colonize the New World brought their own naming traditions, some more unique than others. For example, the English Puritans' practice of naming children.
They would use words from the Bible like lamentations, sorrow, mercy, qualities that were considered favorable, grace, charity, hope.
America became as much a melting pot of names as cultures. With population and industrial growth, the taxman scribbled more and more details of people, their names, their occupations, and their descriptions. These details appeared on passenger lists, city directories, and today, on the information superhighway, the Internet. Together, these sources and names form a maze for modern genealogists to follow. A revolutionary new genealogical resource takes the needle out of the haystack. Next, on Family Tree, here on the History Channel.
We're making a lot of cereal here.
You know what our favorite is?
Honey Bunches of Oats. We can't keep it to ourselves.
Hey, how about some Honey Bunches of Oats? Wow.
Thanks. I like the honey oat flavor.
Nice.
Gotta feed America.
It has a legendary reputation for reliability, durability, and quality. It's been named to Car and Driver's 10 Best list 14 times. It was the first gasoline-powered production automobile to be certified as a low-emission vehicle in the U.S. And the best part is, it's used. Honda certified used cars. Proof that how you start out in life is a good indication of how far you'll go. You see, it may be used, but it's still a Honda.
A simple phone call will help you preserve your family story forever. When my grandson found that old shoebox, I realized we had so much family history that had been lost and forgotten. I wanted him to know where he came from and to be proud of who he is. That's why I called 1-800-489-9913 and ordered Family Tree Maker. You should too. Family Tree Maker is the #1 selling software of its kind. Family Tree Maker is easy to use. Within minutes, you'll be locating ancestors, building your family tree, and sharing your legacy with those you love. Family Tree Maker allows you to create a variety of family trees, family books, maps, and timelines. And you can showcase all you discovered in a selection of heirloom quality printouts that you'll cherish and be proud to display. Call 1-800-489-9913. Order Family Tree Maker today and preserve your heritage.
Everybody's having a closeout sale, so what makes yours so different? At Deal & Doug's Lithia Centennial Chrysler Jeep.
Number 1, hundreds of new Jeeps, Chryslers, used cars, and trucks to choose from. 2, our clearance prices have been slashed regardless of profit. Cherokees and Voyagers, $15,988. Grand Cherokees, $21,988. 3, 0.9% interest. 4, rebates up to $57.50. 5, Denver's best trade allowance. And 6, your best closeout price is always a Deal & Doug deal. See Lithia Centennial Chrysler Jeep, Arapahoe Road East. Forget the rest, get the best.
Sure, times are tight, but if you're working and you need a dependable car, there's only one place for you, J.D. Byrider. Maybe you have bad credit or no credit. It doesn't matter. All you need is a job, a little down payment, and the desire to reestablish your credit. And you can take your pick of J.D. Byrider's huge selection of reliable cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Every make, every model, and backed by their exclusive warranty. J.D. Byrider. Dependable cars, affordable payments. See any one of these J.D. Byrider locations in Metro Denver and let them put you back on the road.
We now return to Family Tree, here on the History Channel. June 10th, 1913. The SS d'Italia cruised from Naples, Italy into New York Harbor.